Hello and welcome to Confident Women Ireland with me, Roisin Cleric. Confident Women Ireland is Ireland's first dedicated professional and life coaching organisation for women. Here on our YouTube channel is where we chat to other inspiring, innovating and confident leaders who in their own individual ways share their stories, nuggets of wisdom, knowledge with Confident Women Ireland and our audience. We talk to local women within our local communities, nationally, regionally and internationally, discussing all things relating to women. Here at Confident Women Ireland, we are delighted to introduce an inspiring and empowering woman in her own right through her role as an art therapist in Kilkenny's Amber Women's Refuge, here in Kilkenny in the southeast of Ireland. Siobhan is using art through an 8-pointed star to help end violence against women and all violence. Siobhan McQuillen is behind the Amber Women's Refuge Ireland's 1 Million Star Project. The 1 Million Star Project is part of a global 1 billion stars project globally. Siobhan, you're very welcome to Confident Women Ireland.
Thank you, Roisin. I am delighted and honoured to be asked to speak to you. So thank you for having me as part of your Confident Women Ireland.
You're more than welcome. Siobhan, can you first tell our audience on Confident Women Ireland, who is Siobhan McQuillen behind the 1 Million Stars project?
Well, that's a good question. Firstly, I am a native of Northern Ireland, so I suppose I come from County Armagh originally. I've been living away from Armagh since I was 18, so I've lived in the UK and Scotland and Ireland and Australia. I trained as an art therapist, so I'm an art psychotherapist and a member of IACAT, the Irish Association of Creative Art Therapists. I've always had just a passion for art. That's the only way I can describe it. I learned early on when I was a teenager growing up in Northern Ireland that art can break down barriers, it can connect people. It overcomes language barriers, cultural barriers. It can be a really special way of communicating, saying things that you can't necessarily say with words. So I've always had that really big draw towards art. So yeah, and I've worked in social work department, in youth justice team in Scotland with young people as an art therapist. I've worked in Australia as an art therapist in a school, and then back here in Kilkenny I'm working with the Amber Women's Refuge. I was originally a project worker, but as you know, then I suppose I had this inspirational moment where I remembered the 1 Million Stars project that I'd seen in Australia, and I wondered how I could bring this project to Ireland, combining creative opportunities to connect people, but also to highlight issues around domestic violence and gender-based issues, because when we see art can be used for social activism and to change social perceptions. So even taking part in workshops has well-being aspects, but the installations, the public exhibitions, spread awareness and allow people to think and stop and maybe have conversations and talk. So I suppose, firstly, in my heart, I'm an artist. Yeah.
Oh, and Siobhan, you lived in Australia and that's where you first saw the 1 Million Stars project. Can you tell us how the 1 million, which is now 1 billion stars project globally, how the 1 Million Stars project actually, how it developed, who founded it, and how you brought it over to Ireland? What inspired you?
Okay, so I lived in Australia between 2015 and 2017. And I worked, well, I didn't work, I helped to kind of fundraise and was involved in fundraising for a women's refuge in Sydney, Northern Beaches Women's Refuge. And one day an email came through about this exhibition in Leon Cove in Sydney. That was 1 million star. It was a 1 million star exhibition of 10,000 hand-woven stars to raise awareness about domestic violence in Sydney. So I thought, wow, that's me. It's an art exhibition. I have to see it. So I have three daughters, and one of my daughters, Orla, was at home at the time, and I suppose bribed her with the hot chocolates to come and go to Leon Cove, which was the other side of Sydney for us, for the day. And we go to see this exhibition. Now, Orla was 10 at the time. And I did kind of think, oh, bringing a 10-year-old to an installation about domestic abuse. I actually, to be honest, I thought about it, and then I just put it to the back of my mind and thought, oh, look, I'll deal, we'll see, we'll work it out. So, so we got there, and when I saw Orla's face, we walked into this room, and it was just amazing. It was one of those moments where you just really, know that something changes inside. It was a dark room with 10,000 hand-woven stars suspended, and they were all kind of backlit, and it was just magical.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really silent because it was in a gallery. It was really silent. It was really reverent. It was really, there was something almost church-like about it, or kind of something really, yeah. So I looked at Orla's face, and she was in awe as well, and kind of, touching these stars, and kind of, yeah, just amazing. But the biggest thing for me was that, when we came out and after, she was asking, Mom, what was that about? And I was able to have a conversation with her around domestic violence in a really gentle way, in a way that she could understand. And I could say, for a 10-year-old, well, some people don't feel safe in their homes, and, and she would ask me questions about that. And she was really interested in the stars and just a visual representation of what that meant. And I was saying to her, yes, so, there are 10,000 intentions to end violence. That means 10,000 stars have been woven by people to stand together, to say no. Yeah.
It's really, 10,000 people took the time to weave a star. 10,000 people, that's a lot of people.
Isn't it? So, and like weaving the star, I can weave one now in a few minutes, but when you're learning, it can take time. Like, it's not something that comes naturally to people. So I know that that was a commitment from 10,000 people that day to do that, and never mind getting them all, strung together and hung up and beautifully created into this exhibition in the gallery, which is more time, and it was done in a really sensitive, beautiful way. So I saw that, and just that kind of, I suppose, it settled in, and life goes on, and kind of, I said, forgot about it. Wasn't consciously hanging around, but then serendipity just happened, and I ended up working with Amber Women's Refuge as a project worker, and on night shifts and during Sundays, they can be a sort of quiet enough downtime in the refuge, and I kind of was thinking, it kind of came to me, the idea of these stars. I remembered, oh, the exhibition in Sydney, like that would be a lovely thing to have a weaving group with the women at the refuge and the children, and maybe become involved. So I spoke with the manager, Lisa, who has always been really supportive this project. And she said, that's a great idea. I Googled around and I couldn't find any star weaving community in Ireland. So even though the project was started for an Irish woman, so we got in contact with Maryann Talia Pau, which I suppose was the reason for your question originally.
Who is she? And tell us all about her.
Okay, so Maryann is the project founder, the global project founder.
Wow.
And Maryann, she's an amazing woman. She is from the island of Samoa, and she currently lives in Brisbane, but she did live in Melbourne. So Maryann is an artist and a weaver in her own right. Maryann was living in Melbourne at the time that Jill Marr, the Irish woman, was horrendous. She was horrendous. She was raped and murdered coming home from a night out. It had a really powerful impact on people in Melbourne. There was marches, there was, outcries of, make the streets safe, and rightly so. People were really shocked and astounded that this could happen. And Maryann herself felt she wanted to do something, but not quite sure what. And I gather that Jill would have walked past Maryann's house that night, and I suppose that brings it closer to home. And I think, again, instinctively, Maryann started to weave the 8-pointed stars, which you can see one behind me. And so on the island of Samoa, like, the stars do have kind of representation of light and hope. And Maryann then brought the stars, the representation now is light, hope, and solidarity against all violence, particularly violence against women and girls. And the stars, I think she brought it to the vigil for Jill, wanted some stars and laid them there. And then it just grew. So members of her community, her friends, family, different church groups, non-church group, community groups, started to weave stars, and it grew and grew until they reached 1 million stars in 2018 in Brisbane for the Commonwealth Games.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was amazing. And you can see those photos on her website, which is 1billionstars.net. The gorgeous, like, imagine now, I saw 10,000 stars. Imagine standing underneath 1 million hand-woven stars.
It took 1 million people to do that.
Yes.
To have a vision, a thought, and a purpose.
So 1 million intentions to end violence. Wow. So really,
it's a big message, Siobhan. It is a massive message.
It is a big message, and it's a powerful message in terms of when you visually see that, when you see that symbolism visually, it is really powerful as well. But when you think about the amount of people, so it really has become a movement, to be honest with you, and other countries around the world have become involved. Thailand, and it's just incredible how the momentum is taking off. I know there's a big community in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a global movement, and we partnered. So Amber Refuge and I partnered with Maryann to bring it to Ireland, to bring the project to Ireland, with obviously the underlying special significance that the project began for an Irish woman. So that's really poignant. And so and I suppose, so Maryann, we always keep in touch with her. She joins us on Zooms, and she knows exactly what's happening. We keep in touch through Instagram. Our Instagram's Ireland Star Weavers. She knows what we do, and I send in reports to keep her updated. So she is quite an amazing woman, and we watch this space. So the project went from 1 million stars to 1 billion stars, because her goal is to have many countries in the world reaching the 1 million target.
You know, Siobhan, when you were telling me that, I was just thinking, here is a beautiful woman in Australia, and just at the thought of another woman being brutally raped and murdered, who walked past her door, that she, an art therapist or an artist like yourself, excuse me, and you both, she wanted to do something to send, you know, to actually send her message of hope for women. She developed the 10 Million Stars exhibition in Sydney. You went to it because you were living there. You came back to Ireland, walked in the local Kilkenny Amber Women's Refuge, and you in the middle of the night you thought about the 1 Million Stars project. You also contacted Maryann, and you brought the stars from Australia, which was developed for an Irish woman, back to Ireland. You brought the stars back to Ireland. So, you know, when you think about, you know, the lady that it was done for, like, she's shining, and every star resembles her in Ireland when you think about it. Every star that is woven through you going and bringing it here, you've brought her back home how many times over?
Yeah, and every day I do think about Jill, and you know, I think about her family.
Yeah.
As well, and Jill's husband actually started the White Ribbon campaign. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yes.
He actually started that. It was Jill's husband. So yeah, it is. And you know, every day, you know, I see different meaning in the stars. I see different ways that it brings people together. I have emails that come in, like, for instance, on Monday, I opened my emails. The first email was from a teacher in a primary school in Care and Tipperary. She sent me a picture of 22 hand-woven paper stars from 6 class students.
Oh, Siobhan, it's so
I know.
lovely.
And so the teacher had said, you know, I shared it on social media on her request, and she had said, look, the girls wove the stars, and we had a special moment for Aislinn Murphy. So that's another, you know, it can be difficult for children and young people to process what happened to Aislinn, and, you know, why women are attacked. But through weaving the stars, through feeling as well part of a bigger community, it's a way to create a safe space where you can start the discussion with children and young people about it. You know, it's about giving the discussion a safe place to be. You know, I suppose you feeling that you're connected as well. There's a sense of safety in that to a wider community. So your county's waving stars, your country's waving stars, and globally, you know, other countries are waving stars. So you're actually connected on different levels. And then, you know, there's the mindfulness benefits of weaving stars. Maybe not your first one, can be a bit tricky.
Oh, I know.
But after
you can't do it.
We'll get you there. I know, because some people say, Siobhan, where is the mindfulness benefit?
Look, I get frustrated. How do I do this? And then
I know, but once you get past the, I know exactly.
I learned the skill.
Because it took me about 10 goes before I could get it right, to be honest with you. But it's a bit like, once it gets into your muscle memory, like knitting and crochet, and you know, it is a really common activity that you know, and you can do it. It's a really kind of peaceful activity. So it's calming and peaceful, and you know, people have found that it has helped them, particularly even the group who were cocooning during the lockdowns.
Yeah.
You know, I've had feedback from that group saying, oh, Siobhan, it was something to do in the evenings. You know, it kept me really connected. It was sort of this meditative kind of, plus you feel like you're contributing something, which is really important. So there has research that's been done that you cortisol levels are yours, you know, it's a stress hormone. It's reduced when you take part in a creative activity like that. So you're reducing your cortisol levels, you're being in the moment, and you get a little endorphin buzz every time you complete a star. So that's good. Yeah. So, you know, I suppose there are really positive parts about this project, even though it tackles quite a serious and dark issue. There is a sense of hope always around it. But while we do have to have those difficult conversations, yeah, we do have to look to the future too and have hope and see what we all can do to make a change, and a societal change on how domestic violence is perceived. You know, how women are perceived in society. And I think, well, I know that this project is making inroads into making that happen, because we have, it's not just women and girls who weave stars, you know.
It's boys and men.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I think too, you've created such a movement in Ireland, which came from Australia with Maryann. But I think what you've done is you and through Amber, and especially through the 1 Million Stars project, you have started a conversation here in Ireland about violence against women and all violence within our society.
Yeah.
And you've also started the conversation with just all at the very beginning, bringing women together to weave stars. So you are uniting through the 1 Million Stars, Siobhan. You are uniting communities up and down and across Ireland in talking about domestic violence, talking about gender issues, talking about misogyny, sexism within society, within the workplace, within everywhere. You started that conversation, and now within the media.
Yeah, well, and it's brilliant. We had, yeah, it's just, I think it's also the impact as well. Really the combination of the groups that create the safe space where the initial conversations can be had, and then the installations, the exhibitions that are really in your face, because
they're in our faces, but you know why they're in our face? Because they're beautiful, they're colorful, they're vibrant. And tell us about the Love installation, because I just think it's absolutely beautiful.
So yeah, so the Love installation, I actually got that idea years ago when I went to London, and it was the British Heart Foundation had an installation, Love, and you went and you tied on hearts. And this is about, like us, this is in 2011 or 2010 or something. And I remembered thinking, oh, that is such a lovely idea, such a gorgeous way to get people connected and interacting, you know, with the art piece. So it just came to me like these little, I don't know where it comes from, just inspiration. When we started in Kilkenny and we had all our stars, and it was like, what are we going to do now? Well, we had the beautiful, amazing 10,000 hanging star installation in McDonagh Junction.
Oh, and then they were also in the Medieval Mile.
Yeah, that was yeah. And you know, they're gorgeous as well. The hanging stars were amazing. And
Oh,
do you know what? It was during the lockdown, and unfortunately not a lot of people could probably saw that, but you know, I again, you know, we had feedback from people who stood underneath them and really felt held and felt supported and felt really felt the power of the intention
yeah.
behind these stars, you know, when you stand underneath it. So the hanging stars were amazing, but then we thought COVID was happening, so we had to have the exhibitions outside because you couldn't really invite people inside. So outside, and then I thought, wow, okay, so the love installation, and what better way to kind of, it ties in with our idea. So we came up with this idea of the 8 points of healthy love that remind us, you know, including no more than myself, I need reminded every day of, you know, what it means to be in a healthy relationship, and what is healthy love and what does that mean. And that's where the love installation, the idea came from. And I thought people can be in a weave workshop and then tie their stars onto love, and we'll have it covered in stars, and that way people can be part of making it happen, part of making this installation happen. They own it, they're empowered, they can tie the love on, they can be part of it. And then again, it was that discussion about, you know, what are the 8 points of healthy love, and we have posters, and we recently did a pilot in Loretto School around that and healthy relationships. But yeah, so the love installation is about, it's about having something visually outside in a prominent area where people can see it, where they're reminded every day, this is what domestic violence does happen. It is not right. We want it to end. It's about having the discussion about gender-based violence, about everything that's been in the media recently. You know, it's really about a reminder for people that this is here, and, you know, we don't want it to go away. We want to keep this current. We want to keep people talking. We want people to be involved. We want people to weave stars, come, bring them, tie them on. You know, we want politicians to be involved. We want everyone to see, because it's a visual people can see it, like
Beautiful.
they can see the support, you know, it's not like, yeah, so it's a visual representation of support. So so that's where love came about, and it moves around different prominent places in Kilkenny. So we've had it in the castle, in the town hall, in the castle yard, in McDonagh Junction, and soon to be moving to Market Cross shopping centre.
Brilliant. Oh, that is brilliant. So you are in 18 counties now.
Yes.
So tell us about that, how, and you know, how it developed from just starting in Kilkenny and then developing to 18 counties.
Yeah, so again, I suppose there was a lot of background work, and again, Amber, you know, have been so supportive and, you know, helping to support my role, and because there was a lot of outreach, a lot of contacting people, a lot of Zoom Weave workshops with other organizations in other counties, a lot of information workshops where I would explain the project to other professionals and tell them what they need to know to get it set up and running. Give weave workshops so they understand how to weave and they can pass that on. So again, it's that idea of empowering other people to be able to take up the project and run it in their own county. So, and the idea of the counties is that, you know, again, we want everyone involved. So counties are kind of encouraged to have their own star account. It's local, they link in with their local refuge because that's relevant for them. So yeah, it was a lot of groundwork, a lot of reaching out, and it has been amazing, and people are amazing. Like Limerick reached 10,000 stars there at Christmas. Yeah.
Wow.
and they have their massive installation outside the Hunt Museum, a massive 4 meter
Really?
star. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's amazing. And up in Cavan and Monaghan, they're flying it as well. And they have had installations around the community. Drogheda, where actually Jill Moore was originally from, have 18,500 stars,
Isn't that lovely?
isn't
You
it?
know, I just think it's amazing that Jill Marr, her spirit is living on through the 1 million and 1 billion star project. And now it's her spirit is living on globally now
Yeah,
and
yeah,
ending violence against all women and all violence.
yeah. It's and all the other women as well who have
Yeah.
lost their lives, all the other Irish women too. Yeah, we remember them every day.
Because,
And
yeah, and when you think about, it's always in the news now, especially, the last, say, 6 months, how prevalent it has been women getting attacked and things like that. But we'll leave that for another day. So, because I
yeah,
want to talk about the 1 million stars. They're so bright, they're vibrant, they're colourful. The message is amazing. The message is getting across the country about ending violence. You've started the conversation, and within local radio stations, within your local media, now it's reaching out to the different counties and
yeah,
to politicians. And it's getting through the media. You were on Nationwide, the Irish program Nationwide just before Christmas, Siobhan. That I always, and every time I'm talking to you, I go, look what a thought can do.
yeah. And it's a bit ironic that I would be in Confident Women Ireland, because honestly, if you'd have known me like 3 years ago, I am the most unlikely person to be on Nationwide. It's just not. But somehow, and what I would say to women who are listening out there, if you have an idea that you're really passionate about, if you have a thought and you think this can make a difference,
Yeah.
go with it and just face the fear and do it anyway. Just go for it, because things do happen that almost pave your way. And if it's meant to be, and I know that I don't mean that to sound, but if it's done with good intention and you really believe this will make a difference, other people will know that too.
Yeah.
And your way is kind of that, really this project is bigger than me. It's not just me, it's about all the weavers, every single star weaver make this happen. So I suppose it's just trust, believe, and kind of, yeah, face the fear anyway, and go for it.
And I think when now this may sound so airy fairy, but it's not. When you know what's behind it, when you have a thought, and as you said, the intention is a good, clear intention, and then you get inspired and motivated by the purpose of that intention. And that gives you
Absolutely.
that gives you that confidence to go and do something. And then the self-confidence then grows each time you do something. Each time you've talked about the weaving stars, and I just think what you've done, I'm in awe of you, as you know, and I'm in awe of Lisa and everybody, all the staff and Amber. And I just think what you're doing is really changing the lives of Irish women and Irish people. And it's also changing the narrative of domestic violence. And it's changing the narrative of women here in modern day Ireland. You're changing how we start to talk about women, how we change the perception of women in our communities, in schools, in the workplace, and in the media, and all over the different parts of our society. The 1 million stars project is getting the conversation started. How do we change the narrative of domestic violence within our local communities and regionally and nationally? How we bring domestic violence policy into our workplace? I know Vodafone are doing that, and so kudos to Vodafone for doing that. But you are starting the conversation within our communities, weaving the stars, within the schools, within our community groups, within the media, within politics. You know, that's massive when you put it in the bigger picture. Siobhan, you know, it's amazing. And it's amazing when you know what Maryann did. And even though, unfortunately, God, you know, it was for Juma, but I can, you know, I sometimes think like it's just like being the start of a guardian angels to actually get the world, especially Ireland, talking about domestic violence and saying, you know, it has to stop. And, you know, men have to, you know, we talk about Confident Women Ireland and Amber and we've talked about this many times on the radio. It's not about being hardcore feminists. It's not about being anti-men. It's just about saying we want equality and we want to be safe. And, you know, we need to change the conversation and get men talking about domestic violence and violence against women even more so. And we could talk about, yes, there is violence against men, but, you know, on the radio, it's the Woman to Woman show. So it's about women's issues. And here on Confident Women Ireland, we're talking about women. You know, maybe Confident Men Ireland will talk about violence against men. And that conversation has to happen too, but we just talk about women on these platforms.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And, you know, it is Confident Women Ireland, and it is about women, and it is Amber Women's Refuge. And it's not that we're anti-men at all. No. It's just that that's the arena that we work in, and there is men's aid, and there are helplines for men as well. And yeah.
And we take it for granted. Stephanie McDermott said it one day. We take it as a given that men, you know, are with us, and that because not all, you know, Stephanie said, Roshan, we take it as a given. I went, yes, Stephanie, you know, that, you know, men, you know, are vocal about everything, and not all men meet the wise. We take that as a given that not all men are violent against women. We take that as a given.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, there are many good men out there. And I have to say, actually, to be honest, the Love installation, I just have to mention JM Steel, the engineering company from Crofts Grange in Kilkenny. They were amazing. They worked overtime to get the structure made. It's made with precast steel. They brought it up to Kildare to get it powder coated in this special gold paint.
Wow.
The designer, Alan Shane, was amazing actually designing it out for us, and the star shape. They did that. They gifted that to us. They did that for free. They did not charge.
No.
And those men that were working on it, they were so proud. And every time Stella Coughlin's been amazing. She's like, since the very first, I had the very first conversation with Stella about, really, should I do this? Should I really do this? And she said, yes, I'd help you. So that we did visits out to the engineering company, out to JM Steel, to see how it was going. And those men were so proud to be involved. They were really, and so I actually think they were glad to be able to do something that helped, you know. And then also this year, the company CDS Engineering, with Martin Stapleton, we have the new star, which is the massive 4-meter star that take part in Fest. It's like a selfie booth, and this time next year it'll be covered in hand-woven stars.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And again, they gifted that to us. They designed and gifted it to us. So, you know, and again, you know, just kept saying we do important work and we really want to help. So there are lots of men out there that really, you know, really want to help, and we need them. We need them to change this discourse. Yes. We need them to change society's views. We need them to be male role models to the younger generation coming up, you know. So I guess, yeah, it, like, if I think the stars are a way, as you know, it's not about women. we want men to be involved and their skills as well.
Yeah. Siobhan, just before we go, because I didn't want to interrupt you when you were on the flow earlier on, talking about healthy relationships and the 8 points of a healthy relationship. What are they?
So the 8 points of healthy love, I'm going to actually have to get the visual because sometimes I have to remember what this is. Oh, sorry.
No, because that's this real life, we can't remember everything. And I brought it on you because I was really curious. I can edit that part out anyway, so don't worry about it.
So
what is it called?
So it's the 8 points of healthy love, and that is kind of unique to Amber Refuge because we came up with this. It connects the idea of the 8-pointed star with healthy relationships. So the 8 points of healthy love are respect. So respect has to be present and mutual, even when you disagree. So acceptance, recognizing the other person for who they are without trying to change them. So trust, feeling safe and confident physically and emotionally. And effort, which is, showing the love, respect, consideration, and making an effort. There's balance. So there has to be a balance of power in relationships for it to work. Unity, the overall shift, from me to us. So unity, it's us, it's two people creating one shared experience. And communication. So being able to say how you feel and ask for what you want. And being able to just really state what's on your mind. I think that's really important, and know that it's going to be heard. So I suppose listening would be part of that communication. And then the last one, empathy. And they're in no particular order, but it's just the way they've come up there on the star. But empathy, so obviously empathy, being aware and present of your partner's perspective and how they feel and their emotions. So, and look, Roisin, I need reminded of that every day myself as well.
We all do. We're humans. We're not perfect, and that's what makes life so wonderful. There's too much emphasis on everybody being perfect, looking perfect, being perfect, saying the perfect thing, doing everything perfect.
Yeah.
Life's not perfect.
No.
But and that's what I love about Amber Women's Refuge. And that's what I love about the 1 Million Stars Project. That's what I love about you and Lisa and all your committee and everybody else, is just that you are really, really trailblazers and change makers. And, that's what you are in what the work that you do and in the 1 Million Stars Project here in Ireland. And, we couldn't do this without this, or we wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for that beautiful Australian lady, Maryann.
Yeah. Exactly. And to you as well. I mean, you mentioned the committee there, and you're part of the committee, Roisin. And I think it takes other confident women as well to kind of to instill confidence in other women. And we have some amazing members on our committee, and you have been amazing on your radio show, really supportive and having us on. My very first interview was with you.
Really, was it?
So
the amount of people that tell me that my very first radio interview was you.
So I mean, and so it is, it is about that community, the committee, about Amber. The staff in Amber are amazing, and and I think being in a we all have a real passion to change things and to highlight this issue in society, to reduce the stigma around domestic abuse, and to reach out to young people, and that early intervention approach. And so the committee, you, Amber, everybody all the other, scores and scores of organizations who are part of this. I can't name them. I have a list of everyone here, but like it goes on and on and on. But I just want
everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
And you know what? Everybody knows with Amber and with you and the 1 Million Stars project, what does it say? It takes many people to make a village. I can't remember the metaphor. But, everybody working together, everybody bringing, not one person can't change anything. One person cannot do everything. But when that one person gets everybody together and everybody works to the one goal, the one intention, for the one purpose, without egos, without anything else, for the one reason, then that is unbelievable. That is power. And that is when you make change within local communities, regionally, nationally, and then internationally, and you unite the nation in the message, end violence against women and all violence. Siobhan Mc Quillen, you're a hero to me, and I really admire you. I respect you, and I just think you're an amazing woman who's doing something very amazing. You're living your purpose. Maybe you never thought you'd be doing this, and I think fate brought you to Australia. Fate took you to the exhibition. Fate took you to come back to Kilkenny, work in Amber Women's Refuge, to be there that night, and just the thought that you came up with that night, working on a night shift in Amber Women's Refuge. Look what you've done. Look what thought can do, Siobhan.
I know. Sometimes I just, it is amazing. And thank you very much for your words.
Thank you. You know what? Thank you. Because you are saving the lives of many women through the 1 Million Stars project and the work that Amber do. But the stars are a message, and you know that message is powerful and it's growing.
Yeah, and I suppose I wanted to be an art therapist since I was the age of 16. Before, nobody really knew what art therapy was in Ireland. This is like back in the 80s. And I think I do really, that I just come back to that idea of art connecting people as well. The creativity and the art is just the conduit, the thing that kind of is because it's creative and really inclusive, Roisin, isn't it? Like, it's inclusive, and we have to include everybody in this conversation.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And you started it. And you know what? So I could talk to you for hours and hours. And when you think about, the vibrant color behind you, the stars, all the different colors that make up that star, and the power of color healing, the power of art therapy, and how that can really change the perception of women within our society from a very young age, as little children in the schools, in their classroom, weaving stars. That's planting that seed for the younger generation.
It is, and this star was actually made by a TY student in Ursuline Thurles. In Tipperary, and this was TY 2 years ago. So we went and did a talk, and their wonderful TY coordinator Annette and the amazing art teacher ran the project. So this was woven by a 16-year-old. It's paper, and she did her own expression on it.
That's lovely. So we know who is behind the star.
Yeah.
We know who is behind the 1 Million Stars project. We know who now is behind your star that you do your Zoom calls with, your screen and
screensaver. And Roisin, that's what it is. Each star is precious, and there is a story behind every single star.
Well, there's definitely a story behind you, Siobhan Mc Quillen, who founder of Ireland's 1 Million Star Project, who reached out to the founder of the 1 Billion Star Project, Maryann. Siobhan Mc Quillen, it's an absolute privilege and a pleasure for Confident Women Ireland and me personally to be talking to you today. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you so much, Roisin. Thanks for having me on today. It's a privilege. Thank you.
Gan Thank
you.